Hey guys, my name is Stephen James. I'm a realtor with Keller Realty in Memphis, Tennessee. I live in South Haven and I work Tennessee and Mississippi. I serve all the greater Memphis area and pretty much all North Mississippi. So that's where I'm actually located. In the last couple of days, I have had a conversation with an old friend who stirred up a really great topic of what do we really do, or if someone came to me as a new person, never worked with a realtor before, looking to either buy or even sell a house that they've inherited or something like that. Um, Really, what does that first interaction need to look like? So, just like everybody else, I Googled it. I checked it out and I did a search. What questions should you ask a realtor at first? And I came across a good list of about 10 questions, but I don't necessarily agree with them, so I want to do my own spin on that and actually talk about that for a second. So this is going to be my 10 questions you should ask your realtor if you are looking to buy or sell your house for the very first time. And it's really quick. I'm probably going to make some realtors mad by talking about it because we are trained as realtors through different agencies and training programs on what to say specifically and how to rebuttal certain statements. But with this is just my personal experience. I've been in the business a little over, right at 5 years, actually. And I've come across a lot of things that I think everybody should know because I got into this business purely because I didn't like my experience when I bought my house. And I was in sales at the time, and I really thought that there's a few things that should have been done differently. And I've really enjoyed what I've been able to do in real estate. And I want to share that with you and just see if I can help anyone along the way. Let's just jump right in. The very first one is, what do I need to do first? If I'm a person coming to a realtor and I'm looking to buy or sell a home, the first question is, what do I do? Where do I start? What do I need to do first? What is my very first step? And that really boils down to one simple answer. You need to speak to a lender. You need to talk to a lender first. If you do not have a pre-approval letter in your hand before speaking to a realtor, you're probably not going to go very far with a realtor. And that's just being truthful because you can't do anything. If you can buy a house, a realtor will definitely work with you. But if you can't or don't know you can, they have very little ambition to actually work with you, truthfully. Because, I mean, we want to help people. All realtors do, but at the end of the day, we don't get paid to show houses, we get paid to sell houses. So we want to work with people who are ready, willing, and able, and a pre-approval letter really starts it off. Now, most realtors have a certain amount or several lenders they recommend. I would start with that. If you have a realtor already, or if you know that you want to work with this person, speak to them directly and say, hey, who do you recommend as a lender? And get with that lender. They've already created a relationship. They've already created some communication back and forth that's going to benefit you down the street, and it's going to really help you out down the road. So I would definitely look at that and speak to your lender first. They're going to go over pre-approval options. They're going to go over possibly some programs that might benefit you and make it an easy transaction. I mean, frankly, recently I had a client that actually got money back at a closing table because the program that they were able to use, they didn't have to even use earnest money. They just got paid to go to the closing. That was pretty awesome. Great program through Pinnacle, if you ever want to look that up. It's called the Pinnacle 100. Great program. So the next one is, and this is a great one. I love it. I think everybody should ask this, is why do I need a realtor? I have another client right now that is trying to do a transaction in selling a home between her and a friend, and she doesn't want any realtors involved, and I'm sitting back and really watching the whole thing go down, and I can't help her because she doesn't want me to, but I'm just seeing red flags along the way. The short answer is a realtor should save you money, and especially should save you a lot of time. They can point you in the right direction with vendors such as lenders, inspectors, contractors, as well as give you guidance on negotiated and negotiate you for the absolute best possible deal. I mean, we do this for a living. We stare at houses all the time. We're in and out of homes. We show homes all the time. So, I mean, really, we should be able to help you out a good bit with that. The other thing with why you should use a realtor is they provide structure. We walk this path every single day through the contract, through what it looks like to literally the lingos that is used in working with attorneys and lenders and that type of such, and giving direction. And we can streamline a lot of stuff and make it real easy for you. So I recommend using a realtor whenever you buy or sell a home. If it's something that you're looking to do, generally a home is someone's largest investment that they'll make in their life. So really go out of your way and make sure that you're taking care of that investment. All right, so the third question is, and everybody should ask this as well, is how does the realtor get paid? That needs to be explained up front. I mean, we do provide a service. This is what we do for a living, so we do have an income from it. So how does a realtor get paid? This varies through markets. Where you are in the United States really, really makes a difference with this. In my particular market, it is very customary for the seller to pay buyer agent commissions. And really those commissions are generally set in stone at the very front of the contract. And from the front of the listing. When the listing is placed, they put it in the MLS exactly what that commission is going to be. Now, I say that is customary. That is not truly a concrete statement, because for sell by owners, even though if a buyer is being represented by a buyer agent, some for sell by owners will not pay a commission. That should be a conversation up front and explained at a buyer agent consultation before you ever start looking at homes. Most agents do work under what is called a buyer agency or agreement or a listing agency agreement. And frankly, from a client's perspective, you should want them to. You want them to work under an agreement that says they are going to represent you. They are going to work for you. They are making a promise to you that they are going to be there and have your best interest in mind. Working with someone that doesn't do that should be some red flags. Lack of professionalism, lack of structure. They're not securing their own income, so how can they secure yours? How can they secure? It would be some red flags for me personally to look at that. So that's something that I believe should be a great conversation before you ever really get into business with any realtor. But that's a great starting point. Now the last one is the fourth one is, what is your experience? Okay, experience to me is a relevant point, but it shouldn't be as important as trust. Your experience a realtor's experience does give them fast answers. It gives them opportunities to be through certain events that gives them fast answers and solutions to problems. Now, if you're working with someone that's been in the business 6 months, they're not going to have all those answers. But if they have the willingness and eagerness to find it, that should be just as good, as long as you trust them. If you trust them, that is the most important thing. My broker has over 30 years experience, and he doesn't have all the answers. I've been in the business 5 years, and I know for a fact I don't have them. So we're all looking, and we all say that we're realtors and we work in real estate, but we're similar to doctors and attorneys, where we're always practicing. Everything's always upgrading, everything's always changing, so we're always having to learn and relearn and constantly look for answers, and that gives us some edge over time for providing solutions quickly. But it doesn't necessarily mean one is 100% better than the other. It just means that we might have faster solutions. That's just the truth of the experience. In my opinion, trust is dramatically more important than experience. If you don't trust them, it's not going to be a good transaction. You should trust your realtor. And number 5, we're going to go to, how do you communicate? Communication is number one key when you're dealing with any type of transaction or contract, in my opinion. If one person is looking for text message, the other person is sending emails, there's going to be something fall through the cracks, and it's not going to work out, and it's not going to be smooth. Your communication of when and how should be a conversation had at the very first meeting. Know how you're going to be in touch and how you're going to get stuff across to make sure that nothing is missed and it's a good transaction throughout. One of the questions that was on the list that I talked about earlier was, do you work with a team or are you solo? Okay, this is a good question because I believe every client really has a preference. They either want one or the other, and it's good for you to understand and know the difference. A solo agent wears all the hats. They do all the showings, they do all the marketing, the listing appointments, the buyer agents, they're calling for feedback, they're returning all calls. I mean, they're doing everything by themselves and working by themselves. Now, I am a solo agent, so I can speak to this one personally. No one's going to have more ambition and willingness to get up and serve you than a single agent, simply because you are our client, period. No one's going to help you other than me, and we're going to be there and do everything we possibly can for you. That is a single agent to the T. That's why we're in business. A team has a lot of hands. They have a lot of people that are willing to help you. Generally, you work with one person when you first start a transaction, and then you might work with 4 other people and not ever see that first person again. Now, if you're wanting an intimate relationship, and I mean intimate as in you're working with the same person that knows you, that knows what you're looking for, that's really willing to work with you one-on-one and take you by the hand and lead you down a transaction, a single agent may be a better fit. If you want something that is streamlined, that is not personable, or not personal, and that is more of let's get the job done, a team may be your better option. Now, there's exception to the rules on both of those. I know teams and single agents that do well both ways, that do keep it still personable and still does a great job with handing you off to certain assistants possibly, but it's not so much of a team, and it really comes down to preference. That should be a conversation had, but it really should come down to preference on that. Let's see here. We're looking at number 7. It says, when do you work? Ask the realtor, when do you work? Real estate is not a 40-hour-a-week job at all. And immediately after I say that, most people are going to think I mean less. That's not the case. I work anywhere between 45 to 55 hours a week, but I have no idea on most days when that is going to be, or I don't know that at the beginning of the week. By the end of the week, my weekend's normally booked. I do work with buyers and sellers. I do set aside several hours out of the day that are dedicated purely for marketing and clerical work and personal time with my family. So there are certain hours of each day that I don't do any real estate, and that's my personal family time. Now, of course, I'm not going to drop everything to show a house during that time. That's my family time. So knowing when a realtor works is relevant when you start a transaction, because if they take every Sunday off from real estate and your day off from work and seeing houses is Sunday, that's obviously going to be a problem right off the bat. So you need to know that before you enter into a relationship with this agent or an agency. So really discuss how they work, their schedule, when can they see homes, when can we communicate. I'm going to say this for all realtors. We want to work with you, but do not call us at midnight to see a house at 8 a.m. the next morning. That doesn't work. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened. So having that conversation up front makes everything smoother, and I promise you, it's a great conversation to have. Okay, let's see here. Now the next one we have is let's see here. Can you share with me the process of buying a home? Great question. Before you ever start looking at houses, you need to know what to expect. You really need to go through the whole process. So I'm going to give you cliff notes from this one. It's very quick, very easy. We're going to find the house. We're going to make the offer. We're going to pay the earnest money, have the inspection, do the repairs, get the appraisal, verify all documents are sent to the underwriter, verify all contingencies are met, final walkthrough, close, and we're going to hand over keys and pop the bottle of champagne. That's how that works. It's very simple, but most people want to skip something there. And if you're not using a realtor or do not know to expect that, you don't know what to look for. So that's a very broken down skeleton version of it. But that's really in the gist. That's the home buying process. If you're selling a home, it's not much different, honestly. You literally sell the home, get the offer, earnest money, and inspection, all that fun stuff just as it continues. So I mean, that's the only difference is you're accepting versus giving. So that's something to really discuss and know that flow of a contract and how to purchase and buy a home. Cliff notes, but know what to look for, your time frames for that, and understand that in your contract. All right, let's see here. Now, next one. How much money do I need to get started? Okay, this one is a depends question. It really depends on market. It depends on price of the home, area. It has a lot to do with that. So I can only talk really about my particular area. North Mississippi average home, if you're buying it for $150,000, plan on having about $1,000 readily available the day you write the offer. That's going to have earnest money and inspections covered. In this particular area, appraisals are normally paid for at closing, so it's not something out of pocket that has to be covered. So if you're buying a home, $1,000 for $150,000 would be about right. Of course, that number may be greater depending on the price of the home. Well, it definitely would be. All right, so next one is references. All right, so this one was in the list of 10 questions that I talked about earlier as well, is ask for references. I'm going to disagree with that. References, anybody can give you 3 or 4 names of somebody that says, "Hi, I'm awesome." It doesn't really help you. It really doesn't. So unless you personally know the person, don't look at references. Don't ask for them. They're kind of a waste of time, in my opinion. Do a little extra diligence on Google. Search them, and search them on Facebook. Search them on Zillow. I'm not a fan of Zillow. However, they do good with reviews. Go to Realtor.com. Check those out. And look for reviews. Don't ask for references. Look for reviews. Because reviews, those are people that are being honest, and they took the extra step of giving their truthful opinion of that person. And I will bet that every one of you understand that it's much more likely for us to get a bad review than it is a good one, just because when someone has a bad review, they're really willing to tell everyone about it. So look for honest reviews versus references. References can really be anybody that you can get to say great things about you. A reference is going to be a much higher probability that is good feedback on someone that's had a past experience with that realtor. Okay, another question that came off the list earlier. Is this a buyer's market or a seller's market, and what does that mean for me? Okay, buyer's market. It is simply when there is more listings than buyers, and a seller's market is more buyers than listings. A buyer's market means that the concessions or extra stuff, okay, from the seller and the opportunity for real deals are present. You can actually get deals in a buyer's market. There's dramatically more listings than there are buyers. Sellers are doing everything they can to have a buyer pick them. So they're coming down on price. They're giving concessions with more closing costs, home warranties. They're trying to throw in a fence in the backyard. They're doing all kinds of stuff that they can try to do to make it a great transaction and for you to pick them. A seller's market, which is what North Mississippi and the Memphis area is right now. We are definitely in a seller's market and have been for quite some time, actually. Expect closer to asking price offers, if not over. Appraisals will and can hurt your transaction, very possibly, because the appraisals will only give value to a home if they can prove it through other sales around the house or similar home. So if they can't prove that it's worth that $250,000 and the appraisal comes back at $225,000, the appraisal is $225,000. So if you're selling your home and you have 4 offers at $250,000, And all of them are loans that appraisal is not going to lend them up to the 250. They're only going to go to the 225. So that can potentially hurt the sale of your home. Now, if you're on the buy side, it's a great position because the seller has to either come down to the to the appraised value. They can ask you to pay the difference. Very rarely that ever happens. Or you can just walk away. And generally, the first or the latter happens more often than not. With seller's market, you do have less closing costs that's covered since they have to come down on that sales price. They're not going to cover as much closing cost. Homes that are priced right, show well, do not last long in the market, in the seller's market at all. It's very common for the days on market to be under 20 here. So you put it on the market, and literally that week, it's very likely you're going to have a contract. It's actually really, really awful. So, hey, that was just a quick list of several things that I've come across. Now, I want to add one little bonus tip on this. Other than questions that you should ask a realtor, I'm going to give you some questions that you should not ask a realtor. We can't answer these. Don't ask us, is this a good neighborhood? That is a loaded question for us. We cannot tell you because demographically, and we can't discriminate. So we can't tell you yes, we can't tell you no. We can point directions of where to find information on demographics. We can point directions if you want to know information about crime rates. But we cannot bluntly tell you, hey, this is a fantastic area, or hey, you need to run and go 3 blocks over and not stay here. You can't be here. You can't ask us that. You can't ask us if this area is safe. You can't ask us if the neighborhood is has Asian, Mexican, or African American. You can't ask us that. We can't tell you. We can only point you in directions that give you that type of information. But we can't bluntly tell you. We are here to purely give you information and help you along as far as giving you guidance on negotiation, marketing, and selling your home, and really try to save you time and money in the grand scheme. I really hope this has been a lot of information for you guys. I hope it wasn't too much, but I'd love to do more videos like this. If you would, leave a description down below of anything else that you want, or if there's any other information or questions that you have for me, please let me know. Well, my name is Stephen James with Keller Realty. Hey guys, reach out to me if I can ever help. In the meantime, thank you guys for listening.